For most of my life, I thought attractiveness was about the mirror, your looks, your height, maybe your bank balance if you were really unlucky. I thought women wanted the guy with the sharp jawline, the perfect hair, and the six pack that looks photoshopped. And because I didn't have most of those things, I told myself, well, I guess I'm not one of the lucky ones. But here's the twist no one tells you. The most magnetic men often don't look like models. They don't flex in the mirror or walk around like peacocks. In fact, half the time, they don't even realize how attractive they are. Attractiveness isn't built on one thing, it's built on signals, subtle psychological cues that speak louder than a perfect body ever could. And if you've ever doubted yourself, I need you to pay attention because if even a couple of these signs describe you, you're far more attractive than you think. Why most men misjudge their own attractiveness. Here's where most men get it wrong. They evaluate themselves the way men evaluate women. Men judge women on looks first, everything else later. So men assume women must be doing the same. If I don't look like Ryan Gosling, she's not interested. Wrong. Women notice something entirely different. They see the way you move, the way you carry yourself, the way other people respond to you. They notice energy, presence, and confidence more than they notice abs. Psychologists call this self-perception bias, the blind spots we all have when we look at ourselves. We obsess over what we lack while ignoring the invisible strengths that other people can't stop noticing. Here's the irony. Men often dismiss the very behaviors that make them attractive. They tell themselves, she was just being nice, or the guys only listen because they feel sorry for me. Meanwhile, the world is seeing confidence they can't even recognize in themselves. So let's break this down. If you've ever wondered whether you might actually be more attractive than you believe, these are the signs. Sign number one, women hold eye contact longer with you. I remember sitting in a cafe once, convinced I was invisible. Then I noticed a woman across the room who kept glancing at me. When I looked back, she didn't just look away. She held my gaze for a split second longer. At the time, I thought maybe she's just polite. Looking back now, I know it wasn't politeness. Women don't hold eye contact unless they feel something. Prolonged gaze is one of the oldest, most primal signals of attraction. It activates oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and creates a tiny spark of intimacy even in a crowded room. Here's where most men get it wrong. They assume it's an accident, that she's bored, or that she just happened to look up at the wrong time. But science says otherwise. Eye contact sustained beyond the social norm is rarely random, it's interest. So if women often hold eye contact with you even briefly, it's not coincidence, it's attraction leaking out in plain sight. Sign number two, men respect you without you asking. Here's something men never think about. Other men are often the first to reveal how attractive you are. If you've ever noticed men naturally deferring to you, laughing at your jokes a little louder, or giving you space to lead in group conversations, that's not random, that's respect. And respect is magnetic. Psychologists call this social proof, the idea that we judge people based on how others treat them. If men unconsciously treat you as someone worth listening to, women notice. And trust me, they notice faster than you realize. I used to think this was just luck, that I was occasionally the guy people paid attention to. But now I understand that attention was a reflection of the energy I was putting out, even when I didn't realize it. Here's the contrarian truth. Sometimes your attractiveness shows up not in how women act around you, but in how men do. If other men respect you without you asking, women are already seeing you through a different lens. Side number three, women mirror your movements and energy. This one blew my mind when I finally noticed it. I'd be talking to a woman and suddenly realize she was sitting the same way I was. If I leaned back, she leaned back. If I crossed my arms, she crossed hers. At first, I thought it was coincidence, but then it kept happening. It wasn't coincidence. It was psychology. Psychologists call it non-conscious mimicry. When we copy the body language, tone, or gestures of someone we're drawn to, it's the brain's way of saying, I like you. I want to sync with you. Here's the empathy part. Most men miss this entirely because they're too focused on what to say next. They don't realize she's already signaling attraction by the way she mirrors their energy. So if you've ever caught women unconsciously copying your movements, tone, or vibe, that's not politeness, that's attraction in its rawest, most subconscious form. Sign number four, you don't chase, and that drives them crazy. Weak men chase. They blow up her phone, bend schedules, and rearrange their lives just for a sliver of her attention. Strong men don't. And here's the paradox: that lack of chasing often makes women want them even more. Why? Because boundaries are magnetic. A man who isn't desperate signals abundance. I don't need to force your attention. If you're interested, you'll show up. I remember once telling a woman, "No, I can't meet tonight. I've got work." I braced myself for her to pull away. Instead, she leaned in harder. She called more. She wanted more of my time. That's when it clicked. Scarcity creates value. Psychology agrees. Studies on attraction show that when something feels rare, it feels more desirable. So if you're the man who doesn't overchase, congratulations, you're ahead of 90% of men. Sign number 5, strangers open up to you easily. Have you ever had someone you just met start sharing their life story with you? Maybe a cashier, a coworker, or a woman you barely know suddenly tells you about a breakup or a family drama? That's not random, that's presence. Attractive men radiate a certain calm, grounded energy that makes people feel safe. Women sense it instantly. They think, I can be myself around him. And trust me, that's far more powerful than abs. Psychologists call this perceived emotional safety, the subconscious belief that someone won't judge you and can handle your truth. That comfort isn't weakness, it's charisma, and it's a massive sign of hidden attractiveness. So if strangers or women often confide in you without you asking, don't brush it off. That's not coincidence. That's a signal you're magnetic in ways you haven't realized. Sign number 6, women tease you more than other men. This one confused me for years. Why was it that women would tease me, roast me, or give me little challenges when I thought they weren't interested at all? Turns out they were interested. Teasing is attraction in disguise. It's testing, it's play. It's her way of saying, I want to engage with you. I want to see if you can handle me, and I want to feel the spark when you play back. Most men misinterpret this. They either get defensive or they crumble or they mistake it as rejection. But here's the truth: teasing is one of the most primal ways women flirt. So if women often pick on you, make fun of small things, or challenge you lightly, don't get offended. Get curious, because behind that sarcasm is often genuine attraction. Sign number 7, you feel average, but women don't see you that way. This is the paradox that ties everything together. The most attractive men often don't feel attractive. They feel invisible. They downplay themselves. They think, I'm just normal. But here's the kicker: that humility, that authenticity, that lack of performance, it's magnetic. Women are exhausted by men who try too hard to impress. The flashy, arrogant, look at me types. When they meet a man who is calm, grounded, and simply himself, it feels rare, feels refreshing. And rarity is what makes it valuable. Psychology calls this authentic confidence, not the loud performative kind, but the quiet self-assurance that says, I don't need to prove anything. So if you've spent your life doubting whether you're attractive, consider this. That very doubt may be the reason women find you magnetic. Everything you thought you knew about attractiveness, wrong. It's not about the mirror. It's not about flexing muscles, designer clothes, or the right pickup lines. It's about the subtle signals: the eye contact, the respect you draw, the calm you radiate, the boundaries you hold. Attraction isn't loud. It's quiet. It's not performed. It's felt. And chances are, if you've been blind to these signs, it's because you're already living them without realizing. You don't have to believe you're attractive for it to be true. Sometimes most magnetic men are the ones who never try to be. They just are. Thanks for watching.